Hello, friends. Let us today move on to the next important aspect of music, the emotional aspect of music, the properties that affect you emotionally, pitch and melody. In the simplest form, pitch is highness or lowness of the sound. When I say that, I do not mean the loudness or softness of the sound. I literally mean high and low. Melody, on the other hand, in simplest term, is a musical line or curve or a graph. It's the succession of pitches that we remember, the one that we hum or whistle to. It is the combination of notes that we recognize with its power to move us emotionally. A melody is a plot, a theme of a work. Be it a song or a huge orchestral work, it is something that lies hidden behind giving power to the beautiful words. Or it is something that lingers on even after it has finished. As one of the musical virtuosos put it, it is the melody which is the charm of music, and it is that which is most difficult to produce. The invention of a fine melody is work of a genius. This quote is by Joseph Haydn. Well, we'll talk about the nature of the melody in our next episode. Today, let's talk about pitch, the one that makes a melody. The pitch is the quality that makes it possible for us to judge sounds as higher or lower in a song. Pitch is an auditory sensation. Pitch is closely related to frequency. But the two are not equivalent. Frequency is objective that can be measured, while pitch is each person's subjective perception of a sound wave, which cannot be directly measured. However, pitch and melody are always referenced with each other as a lower tones or pitches having lower frequency number compared to high-pitched sound which has higher frequency number. The discussion on frequency and pitch can get very complex, and the discussion of music can easily turn into a lesson of physics. For example, a tone composed of two sine waves, one of 1,000 and second one of 1200 hertz, may be heard as up to three pitches. Then there are theories about pitch perception, phase locking, mode locking, and so on. We are here to talk about music, North Indian music, and we are here to learn to appreciate music. We are here to keep it interesting and simple. So let us leave that discussion for the students of physics. But I'm still going to talk about a term called J and D, just noticeable difference. It is the terminology that we will use to understand pitch. The pitches that human ear can differentiate is called just noticeable differences, or in short, J and D. Another term that I'll be using is hertz, not the car company. It's the unit of frequency, vibrations per second. It is denoted as hertz and is named after German physicist Heinrich Hertz. And no, he did not discover or invent frequency. He was recognized for his contribution to the study of electromagnetism. Hertz was adopted world over in 1960, replacing CPS, which stands for cycles per second. And let's go back and now try to understand J and D. I can demonstrate this by using my computer again. Here is the piano key tuned to A at 440 hertz. You will not notice any difference until I hit 455 hertz. But as I move higher, you will start noticing the difference. If you were able to differentiate this, then you should thank your brain. Most people cannot, and there is nothing wrong with it either. If you are one of them, there is no need to get embarrassed. The musicians who can tell the difference were not born with pre-installed software up here. They trained themselves for years. If you're interested, you should look up on the internet for ear training exercises. So human ears, or rather human mind years ago, during evolution, during our transition from monkeys to Homo sapiens, decided that the pitches that are J and D, and also the ones that sound good, are 12 main pitches. 12 main pitches. Per Indian philosophy, of course, the sound of Om was created first, and then the other pitches originated from that first musical sound. Well, I'm not going to discuss that. I'm not going to get into that. Indian music, both North and the South, instead of 12 pitches, defines 22 pitches that sound good. We call them Shruti. They are more or less used as transitional pitches meant to slide from one pitch to the other. Indian musicians claim sometimes that they can differentiate them and very accurately and reproduce them. I do not argue their ability or disability of others of not hearing them, and I also think that it's beyond the scope of our discussion. So what are these 12 pitches that we call J and D? Here is the breakdown. So there are 7 pitches that are considered to be natural or Shuddha. Most of us know them as Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Dha, Ni, or Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti. We'll talk about the full names and interesting stories of Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Dha, Ni in our next episodes. These 7 notes that are grouped together are called Saptak, 7 notes. Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Dha, Ni, 7 notes, Saptak. In Western music, the 8th note or higher Sa is added and is grouped, and it's called an octave of 8 notes. The Saptak that we can sing comfortably is also known as Madhya Saptak or middle octave. Then there is one that goes below Sa, which is known as Mandra Saptak or bass clef in Western music, and a higher octave which is known as Tar Saptak or treble in Western music. Since Indian music is more based on human voice, we use only 3 octaves called Mandra, which is bass, Madhya, which is middle, and Tar, which is high. This Saptak, which uses only Shuddha notes or all natural notes, has a diatonic structure. Here, let me explain this in a minute, but let's let's look at the keyboard first to understand these steps. Yes, there are steps on the piano keyboard that you play. No climbing allowed. The smallest interval between two notes is a half step. If you look at the keyboard, this is C. The black note next to it is a half step. The white note after a black step is another half step. The two half steps, half plus half equals to 1. Simple math, right? Next is a half step and so on. Now back to C. This is C. This is D. And this is E. And then this is F. Now let's go back and recognize them in Indian terminology. This is Sa, this is Re, this is Ka, and this is Ma. If you noticed, the interval between C and D, or Sa and Re, is two half steps, meaning one whole step. And again, the interval between D and E, or Re and Ga, is two half steps or one whole step. The difference between E and F, or Ga and Ma, is a half step. Now, as we go up, you'll see the same structure again. The interval between G and A, or Pa and Dha, is a whole step. Interval between A and B, or Dha and Ni, is a whole step. And B and C, or Ni and Sa, is half a step. So this whole, half here, and whole, half here. Same structure twice, right? That is why this scale of all natural notes, or Shuddha Swar, is known as diatonic scale. In North Indian music, this is also known as Bilawal Thaat. So, what is a Thaat? Thaat is closely defined as a scale. A full scale that contains only 7 notes, not all 12 notes, 7 notes. And they have to be in ascending order. It has to have all Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Dha, and Ni. And can have modified version, but not both. There was a lot to grasp today in just about 20 minutes of discussion. In the discussions to follow, we will repeat this and understand more about this so that you will remember all these terms, I promise. Excuse me. Today we will focus only on Shuddha Swara, the diatonic scale, Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Dha, Ni, the scale or Thaat known as Bilawal. Bilawal is also a rag, but it's not rendered these days. Alayya Bilawal, on the other hand, is the rag that has been derived from this Thaat. The scale of all Shuddha Swar, or natural scale, Bilawal creates a rich, sensuous ambience. Many morning rag are based on this scale like Alayya Bilawal, Bhinna Sharaj, Bihag, Deshkar, Durga, Shankara, Pahadi, and Mand, just to name a few. There are many compositions that are based on these 7 notes of Bilawal Thaat. I have listed them here on the screen and also in the description area. Please listen to them at leisure, but first, my composition in this Shuddha Swar scale of Bilawal Thaat. This composition is using all 7 Shuddha notes. It's a beautiful ghazal by Ajit Singh Hasrat. I have converted this ghazal into a song. Please enjoy.
मुझको प्रेम कहानी कर दो। मुझको प्रेम कहानी कर दो। मुझको प्रेम कहानी कर दो। मेरा सी दीवानी कर दो। मुझको प्रेम कहानी कर दो। मुरली की एक तान सुना कर, मुरली की एक तान सुना कर, राधा सी मस्तानी कर दो। आज तो जाने की जिद छोड़ो, आज तो शाम सुहानी कर दो। मुझको प्रेम कहानी कर दो। मेरा सी दीवानी कर दो। मुझको प्रेम कहानी कर दो। बाकी रात तो जागते गुजरी, बाकी रात तो जागते गुजरी। लंबी राम कहानी कर दो। ऐसा रंग रंगाओ हसरत, दुनिया से बेगानी कर दो। मुझको प्रेम कहानी कर दो। मेरा सी दीवानी कर दो। मुझको प्रेम कहानी कर दो।